Yo, yo, how we doing? How we doing? We got another watch list. Trade review from December 3rd, and then a watch list going into December 4th. I do have some family in town from out of town that are coming over here for dinner. They're already here, so I had to sneak up quickly. We'll run through this, try and add some value to you guys' evening, and we'll go over some watches and then move on. So let me start off here. It was quite the day for me, banger day. We'll start off here with IDAI. Doesn't look like much, just given how far it has run. So obviously sold a bit too soon, but getting 40 cents to 50 cents is a nice 25% move. 60 was my goal, but it did start to top out and kind of round off here. So I thought it might have needed a bit more time to consolidate and recollect itself. And I'm usually off desk between 10:30 and 11 anyways. So I took the meat of the move and moved on. It ended up going quite a bit higher. So far my plan from Sunday scan is working to a T. Looking for that 60 crack, fade to 40, backside bounce, and then now let it collect itself and pick a direction if it wants to re-break or bounce and fade off. Justin, appreciate it. We got quite a few of these. Color was my only loss here from today. So we'll start with the daily chart. Overextended daily from 75 cents to 170, and then we get the gap down. So I put some on in a pre-market pop, risking towards 160. Put a few more on to get to full size. I was only partial size. And then once we get this high a day set off the open, I scale in on the red move and move risk to high a day, which ends up stopping me out. And it didn't really do much today anyways. PRZO, exact same setup, overextended daily, gapping down for the first time. So I put some on here in pre-market. And once the open fails, I scale and move risk to high a day and then just start covering some along the way. Took the meat of the move there. Didn't make it the whole way, but was steady lows all day. QBTS. If I zoom out, we had this trend break. I drew it last night for you guys and joined that trend right here. Put some on here off the open. We get some pops and chop. Hard crack, lower high, scale versus high a day, cover the flush. Qubit, same thing. I was a bit later on this one, let it do its thing off the open, scale into the low a day, and then cover the flush. So some nice nail and bail names here. I admire the discipline not to re-enter again on IDAI. Thank you. Yeah, sticking to process. I had put on a position and just kind of scaled through highs, and then was looking to add on dips to get full size first low a day, and so we got that there. So those are my trades from today. You can look back at Sunday Scan, the one I did with Investors Underground, and the watch list last night, and everything was laid out ahead of time. If you're in the room, I put commentary out in pre-market of the exact plans that I traded here visually. So now I was in the two biggest movers early, CT&T and ZJK. Nicely done. I'm not interested in any of those names, but congrats. If that's your process, I mean, good work. Nice job. Congrats. So now watches for me going forward. MVST I had mentioned on one of these days that this was the kind of daily chart that's been working. They don't need to consolidate so much, but when they reclaim trend, they tend to just go, and this one worked. I ended up missing this one, but even an entry here today through the big picture breakout level, that's pretty stellar, where you get the week open, collects itself, ABCD off the lows, join this $1 break versus 98 cents, you risk 5-6 cents and get a 50-cent move. That's a crazy risk reward. Probably something that you trail with like a 5-minute bar. It stops you out right here. See what it got stopped out at 130. Would have missed that leg, but nice trade nonetheless. Ideally, this thing continues to blow out, goes 180, 220, blowout, and can get a first red day trade there. Can you help identify where the dip exhaustions are? I'm not used to exhaustion selling. Justin, sorry, I don't understand the question. Could you please elaborate a little bit on that question? Maybe reference to a ticker, and might make it easier to respond. NASCAR haul out your processes to lose money. Nice. It used to all be positivity over here, but I guess when you're doing something right, then you start getting negativity in the comments. OPTT did exactly what I was afraid of, basically, with that gap down after hours, just kind of destroyed that A plus setup. So nothing there for me moving forward. UMAC, this one's starting to set up, same setup on the daily as IDAI. It should look familiar. And this one now has stuff like PRZO that have now had their backside fade, and color that's still holding up. They've got sympathy names off the back of UMAC, same kind of thing with RCAT, a bunch of drone names starting to fade on their backside after their parabolic moves. So something like UMAC, what I'd be interested in is, let me see here, high a day, broke it briefly over here, and then high a day, broke it briefly over here. So what I'd be looking for, this thing hasn't gone green. Now it has 1.5 red days, basically 2 red days. It gapped up, went red, gapped down, stayed red, and steady fades. So ideally, I'd like a gap down, flush, weak open, kind of like IDAI, where you get that weak close, gap down, and dips versus pre-market lows. So ideally, I'd like a gap down, reactive trade, and dips versus pre-market lows, ideally a sub 10 washout. If we get a green hold and a strong open, then I'd be forced to use prior day's lows as a guide. But I'd be looking for a backside bounce in the coming days here. And typically, I like at least 1.5 red days. PRZO has only had 1 red day, but given that it's tied to the sector, it has pulled back quite a bit now, 26% down today, and quite a bit off the highs. So anything down towards $1, if we get a big enough gap down, I could see a mean reversion trade on the backside in sympathy with UMAC. Rocket Lab, Archer, all these names continuing lower. Archer did have that gap down I was looking for. I saw it kind of around here when I'm making my plans for market open, and I did not see this $1 or whatever it is, 60-cent flush into the open, or I likely would have been a lot more interested in it. But right around here, I was like, okay, it's gapping down, but not a whole lot. So I ended up missing that mean reversion trade there, but it is what it is. I had enough on my plate anyways. S&TI, everyone watching it yesterday, and then today, nobody home. PSQH, monster squeeze midday, caught shorts off guard when the PR came out. This one's got Donald Trump Jr. behind it. Same thing that got UMAC running. So, yes. What's your process? Fill me in. I don't have time for NASCAR. What the hell? How do you pick your tickers, where your entries, where you actually go through the process? I mean, you're just coming with so much hostility. It doesn't really make me want to comment on it. I've done this now for, since like April. I've done this for months and months and months, every night. Haven't missed a day. So I've gone over my scanning process. I've gone over making a watch list. I'm literally making a watch list and going over daily chart setups. I just showed a bunch of trades that I took today right at the beginning of this live stream. So I think my process is demonstrated well, and I think the people here in this chat would vouch for it. UMAC for a flush out to low 10s or high 9s. Yes, Timmy and I are on the same page. I did go over my plan there, but yeah, ideally a gap down that I can react to, similar to my IDAI entry here, where I can get in before that red to green move and start selling into the chasers. But if it does gap up or have a flat open, then I'd have to use prior day's lows as a guide just to keep risk reward in check. What's up, El Jefe? Nice to see ya. New to your YouTube, says Justin, but have alerts set to keep watching. Just need to get used to the terminology. And I can't spell. That's funny. Yeah, the terminology will come with time. I know, like Nate, when I joined Investors Underground a few years ago, listening and watching him chat in the room, I was kind of lost, but eventually, kind of like any other profession, you kind of get used to the jargon in due time. So keep sticking around. Feel free to ask questions. I don't mind answering stuff. I was in my first month of trading, first 6 months of trading at one point, so I don't look down on any questions. NASCAR with another comment. Let's see what we're getting into. How about this? How much money are you up in the past 12 months in the markets? It's a legit question to ask. Should I be following a break-even trader? Let's be transparent. That's all I'm after. Holy smokes, this guy. It's hilarious. You're not paying for a service. You sound too entitled. I agree with that. No answer. Interesting. That's hilarious. There we go. We'll just mute because that's not what we're here for. We're not here for, like what I see in those comments is, first of all, he's got some sort of negativity in his life that he needs to push on other people. And he probably is stuck in a bag in some ticker that I was short today, and he didn't like to see that I made money and he's not. So anyways, we will not give him any more time, and I'll talk with you guys that are a bit more positive and productive. Let's see, Stuff and Such. I like that name. What's up, Dawson? A few first green day questions. What's your risk level? How do you approach gap ups and gap downs? And which do you prefer? So for first green days, IDAI just being the poster child of the day on that setup. First of all, my criteria is having a multi-100% front side move, like a multi-day move, not just a one-day move, and then a multi-day fade. So I like multi-day structure on both the front and back side. So this one went from 15 cents to 85 cents. That's enough range. And now it's pulled back from 85 cents to 40 cents. So then I start to zoom out and look at the intradaily, basically a zoomed out lens on a daily chart, so I can get the intraday levels. And this is where I like to use volume profile and prior consolidation looking left levels, and that's where I get this 60 cent goal, where it was prior resistance, became support, and became resistance. So this 60 cent level over under is a typical reward level for me. So that's kind of how I gauge my price targets. And then how I'm looking for entries on stuff that's going parabolic up. the A plus is the gap to gap to gap, and then a gap and blowout failed fall through momentum. Same thing on the backside. If you get a gap and fade, and then you get that gap down and washout, that's the A plus for the backside bounce. So it's just the same on the inverse. So something like IDAI, I don't know if this is going to hold. So if I zoom over here, take out these volume candles, you can see, I want to take out that 8 a.m. bar. So you can see here early pre-market, and then into 7 a.m. you get this rollover, and then this big volume wick, which typically is like an exchange of hands. Like volume comes in, sellers capitulate, buyers come in, and you get this exchange, this new shareholder base. So this is now a key level to me, this 36 cents. And then off the open, once it flushes and holds that pre-market low, 36 cents, that's now a fairly good support level that I could use as a risk. It's low a day, it's pre-market lows, and we've got that gap down capitulation trade. So now I'm just waiting for strength to start to prove itself. And what do we get? We get wicks, 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 all off the open. So once I get this opening range highs, for this instance, I use the 1 minute opening range highs. So once it broke its 1 minute candle off the open, then I'm interested in dips, dips, dips. And I'm scaling in. I was probably about 3/4 size here, and then this one was to get me up to full size risk with low a day. So I'm risking about, I think I had about a 40.5 cent average, and so I'm risking about 4.5 cents, and then I'm locking up. I had about a 49-cent sell, so locking in 9 cents, risking 4 cents, a 2-to-1 trade. Obviously went a lot higher. But typically, I think I was chatting with you, I believe, in the comments. Basically, this is like a nail bail trade for me, so I'm not looking to overstay. This easily right here on this rounding action could have easily faded all the way back to lows and could have given back gains if I'm not locking in. So it is what it is. But then something like UMAC, my goal would be a gap down capitulation, same kind of thing as IDAI. If I can get a pre-market weakness on a big enough gap down, like an 8 to 10% gap down, get that rollover waterfall in pre-market, be able to use pre-market lows as a guide, and then until I can scale in versus a low a day risk. But so that's like my A plus. What do I prefer was your question. But if this opens at 12, then I'd be looking for weak opens versus 11. We have a double bottom here and fairly sideways action throughout the day. So I will play it either, but I prefer the exhaust in both ways. Dude, just go back and watch all the videos. What's with the spoon-fed mentality? Appreciate it, Timmy. Do you keep any reverse split pumps on a separate watch? No, I haven't traded reverse split pumps in years, since 2019, 2020. F that guy bringing negativity. That's right, D. You guys got my back in here. That's cool. What are your thoughts on Archer? I don't really have many thoughts on it. I had plans going into it this day for gap up and exhaust for the pullback. I ended up missing that pullback, and then I'm looking for the gap down capitulation, which we got, and I just had too much on watch this morning. I didn't have this one on radar. I was trading 5 names at the same time off the open, so I don't hate myself for missing this one. But I don't really have any plans at this point. The parabolic has come, the bounce has come, so now it's just going to chop around and choose its new direction. Great information. I have RCAT, Archer, MobX on watch for a free screen day at the moment. Yeah, MobX went down sub $1 today. That was quite the fader. I don't love it. I probably won't be keeping this one on watch for a backside bounce. The liquidity just isn't there. But this would be one where if this were to flat open or slight gap down, I would be using prior day's lows as a guide. You've got prior resistance becoming support there. But the liquidity on this, like it only traded 1.7 mil today. So you might be able to get like a 130s bounce, but I think there's better opportunity in UMAC out there. Timmy asking about VSIG. Yeah, see, so this is one of those ones where liquidity has now dropped off to 3 million. Um, so volume, dollar volume on the day is rather low. This has basically retraced 100% of its move. It only had a 1 day run instead of a multi-day run. And this first day basically gave back a bunch of its range. So this would be another one where I just think the price action in which it's happened, it's had too many pops on the backside already that I think have already added more selling pressure. I prefer just a steady fade. Like if this was the last pop and then the last 2 days were fade, I might have a different opinion. But given only a 1 day move, given too many pops on the backside, dollar volume has dried up too much and it's retraced 100% of it move. That's like 4 strikes. I don't need to trade it. Some people don't know anything past spoon fed. You're one of the few that talk process. Thanks for doing that. Yeah, that's the thing. Sure, I could flex on this guy and talk to him about P&L, but there's not really any value in it. It doesn't really matter how much money I'm up. It just, if I'm giving trade ideas, and I'm doing this kind of video because it helps me trade better as well, nail down a watch list. But I also don't mind sharing some of the stuff I've learned over the years from traders who are a lot better than me. So whether you're up 100K on the year, a million on the year, anything in between, it doesn't really help anybody. I think what helps is talking process, talking trade setups, and trading terminology and concepts and that sort of thing. Do you chase first green days or always wait for chart development? Yeah, don't chase. Don't chase. First green days are a nail bail trade for me. So if you're starting to chase up here into like a red to green move, now you're risking like 10 cents. And now stuff like this pull, when it dips back red, now you're nervous. Now you're back red on your position. And like, even if I wanted to sit through this, I was never red on that position, given the good early entry. First green days is one of those things where I don't mind taking 1 or 2 stabs before I get it right. And just taking risk reward over win rate on something like that. The win rate on these is already high enough in like the 78 to 82%, depending on the market environment. So it's already a high percent win rate. So I prefer to take the little preemptive entry and take a better risk reward. RGTI looks like it's holding up. The guy in IU that's been talking about this thing. Yeah, it could be. I don't love the daily. It's already had a fake breakout, but I don't know. Not for me. Thank you so much for that. No problem. So I think we will leave it there. Like I said, I do have family here. Okay, last question. Thank you for showing IDAI. How do you find that all of a sudden volume spike? I had a day scanner. No, I'm looking at recent percent gainers. So I've had IDAI on watch since 11/26, and then it runs for 11/27, and then I'm looking at it on the 29th for a first red day, and then I'm looking at it on the 2nd for a 60-cent failed fall through breakdown, and then I'm looking at it on the 3rd for a gap down first green day. I didn't have any interest in playing it on the 26th or 27th, but those days put it on my radar for these 3 days of trade setups and opportunities. So I'm just looking at percent gainers, and then so something like PSQH. I have no interest in trading this tomorrow, but I have it on a watch list because now it's a percent gainer today, up from 2 to 750. It could go higher and maybe sets up like UMAC, given the same fundamental thesis, or not fundamental thesis, fundamental reason for it running, the PR. So I just put percent gainers on watch, and most people probably aren't watching UMAC anymore. So now this could be a similar setup to IDAI. So that's just how I keep names on watch. So IDAI, I had the plan. If you go, let me find it here. Because I did I did Sunday scan with Investors Underground, and right here, let me link you to this. So that link should work. If you click on that, it'll take you over to my Twitter. And basically what I wrote on Sunday evening going into Monday was, given that this is a watch list for the week ahead, I'll put this one on. It's not an immediate plan for Monday, but if it starts to fail below 60s, I think there's a liquidity pocket down to the 40s. I've been looking at this for two scenarios. Either it continues to fade down to the 40s for a backside bounce play back into recent resistance, or I'm going to let it churn up here and possibly have a secondary leg for a breakout. I'm open to either scenario. And what did it do? It went from 80 cents, faded down to 60 cents. It broke 60 cents, went down to the 40s, and then we got that week open today. So I was planned on this from Sunday evening, and it literally just fell into my lap this morning, where this is exactly what I wanted, a fade down into the 40s. We got that gap down capitulation, and once the volume started churning, that was just confirmation of my trade setup that I wanted to see working. So, good. I really liked that this video. I think I'm gonna retweet this and post it on Twitter. This video helps a lot. Great information on your process. Great. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. So, yeah, basically, I'm just watching these drone names. UMAC will be my main watch, and then probably PRZO as a back burner. And DXYZ, worth mentioning, too, because this thing's holding up way too well. We could be getting a flag breakout here. This one's worth keeping on watch, too. But anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. Get in where you fit in, make some memories, and I'll see you guys in the room. Peace.